Welcome to another episode of Wicked Easy Cooking. My name is Chef Colin Roche, and today we're going to be making Greek-style stuffed pork tenderloin. Oh my God, awesome. And I have the recipe here. I'll post at the end of the video and also down in the comments section so you can make this at home, which I hope you'll do. It's quick, it's pretty cheap, economical, feeds a lot of people, and delicious. And while I'm going through the process, I'm going to give you some options, some substitutions, some other seasoning flavorings that you may want to use in yours. So you can, if you don't want something that I'm using, use something else. All right? So let's get started. Okay, so I have all my ingredients here, and I'm just going to run through them really quick, and then we'll start putting it together. So we've got some olive oil, because we need that to saute up our stuffing, or our filling of the pork. And in that stuffing, we're going to put mushrooms. I have here on the recipe about a half a pound, give or take, or this may be a little bit more. These are just common button mushrooms. But in the past, I've made this with creminis, portobellas, whatever mushroom you want to put in there. It's great. This is going to be kind of our filling. Then we're going to put in, after we get that sweated down, some garlic. I have 3 cloves here in the recipe. But like all my recipes, if you like something, want more, add it. If you don't like it, or you want a little bit less, take a little bit away or take it out completely. Your option. But I think 3 cloves goes good with this. Then we're going to have some soy sauce. I have a little low sodium. Any type of soy sauce will work. This has umami in it, which can really bring out the flavor, the same as in the mushrooms, which goes great with steaks and meat. So this is really going to enhance that flavor of that stuffing. All right, then we're going to put in some baby spinach. I've got about 6-ounce package here. I'll put that in the recipe. About 6 cups, not pushed down, so whatever you can. I like baby because it doesn't have the big stems on it. But if you have large, spinach, that's fine. You just got to pick the stems off and chop it up a little bit. But because this one's so small, I think we can just go right into the pan with it. At least that's what I'm hoping. Then we're going to put in cream cheese. Cream cheese is what's going to give it that rich consistency in our stuffing. So it's also going to add a lot of flavor, some fat as the pork tenderloin roasts. Then I've got some Greek olives, Kalamata olives. I just chopped them up here into small, little pieces that's going to go in our stuffing. Love these. But again, if you have Niçoise or other type of olives, go ahead and use those. I've got capers, little caper berries. I love capers. They're very salty, briny. Buy these in the grocery store. If you don't know what they are, they're the actual unripened bud of a Mediterranean shrub. So they're like an evergreen. So these open up into a little bit of a flower, and they have different sizes, and they're delicious. And we're going to bind it all. Stuffing. I have some panko breadcrumbs. Here I put about a half a cup, give or take. I like panko. They're a little bit more thicker than the regular breadcrumbs. But if you have just plain breadcrumbs, Italian breadcrumbs, use those. They'll work fine. And then we've got, of course, our pork tenderloin. Pork tenderloin is cheap. You can get this in your grocery stores for very, very cheap. Sometimes it's on sale, $3 a pound, and it's pretty much all meat. There's not a lot to clean in here, and I'll show you that when I do it. And there's usually 2 in a package. So this recipe, this amount of stuffing, should fill 2 pork tenderloins perfectly. Though I've used this with just 1 before, and the stuffing is really fat, so you could do it either way. So I'll show you that when I get in there. I have a little Dijon mustard we're going to rub on the outside of that tenderloin before we put it in the oven, along with some salt and pepper on top. And that's it. So let's make that filling right now. Okay, I've got my pan heating up here on the stove, medium-high heat. I've got something to stir it with, and we're going to want to put a cover on it, some kind of way to hold that in when we add the spinach so we can get it to collapse and wilt a little bit. So, however that works for you. We take this, we're going to put in our 2 tablespoons approximately of our olive oil. All right, and from that we're going to add in our chopped mushrooms. Okay, give those a little bit of a stir, get some olive oil around them, put them back on the heat, just let them go for a couple minutes. Just want to hear them, do they start sizzling? Then we know the heat's hitting those mushrooms. Now mushrooms have a lot of moisture in them. So what's going to happen, as soon as they get to the heat, they're going to collapse, releasing that moisture, which usually we'll want to cook it down into steam, let it evaporate to dry our mushrooms. But in this case, we don't want it. We don't want to cook our mushrooms to dry. We want that liquid in there, which is going to keep our filling, our stuffing moist inside that pork tenderloin when it bakes in our oven. Okay, so you can hear it already sizzling. I think you can hear that. So I'm just going to give it another little bit of a stir here. And then we're going to go right into our garlic cloves. Again, it's minced garlic. Again, I got 3 cloves in here. Add that in. I like the garlic. I think as it cooks down and sautés, it's going to get a little bit sweet, so that's really nice. Give that a little bit of a stir. Wow, wow. Right away you get a waft of that garlic. Smells awesome. All right, stir that up. Now we're going to hit it with our soy sauce. In here I put a tablespoon. We're guessing. Okay, you can see it steaming up. And those mushrooms are going to absorb some of that soy sauce in there. Okay, stir it up. Now we're going to put it on. So now we just want to let those cook down a little bit. Maybe 3 minutes we'll go with. So while that's happening, let me just clean up these bowls here. Move our olive oil off to the side. And we're going to go with our spinach next. So I'm going to get that ready. Another minute. You can still see some of the mushrooms are rather large. They haven't collapsed, given up their moisture yet. So, we don't want them to be on the raw side when we roll up our, pork tenderloin. They'll be kind of jagged and stuff. But by collapsing them, they'll all mush in with those breadcrumbs, make a wonderful filling. Okay, put our soy sauce off there. Okay, that's good. Okay, they've started to break down. We're going to add our spinach in the whole 6 ounces. Now it looks like a lot. I mean, it's overflowing the pan here, coming off onto the sides, overflowing. But it is going to just break down. If you've ever cooked spinach before, you know all of this just collapses. So to help that, we're just going to put a cover on it and let it cook a minute or so. And then that'll just break down. We'll stir it all in, remove it from the heat. And at that point, we're going to add our cream cheese, our olives, our capers, seasonings, and tighten it all up with our panko breadcrumbs. At that point, we'll let it off to cool, and then I'm going to start on my pork, and I'll show you that. So let's give this spinach another minute. Okay, that spinach has been in there just about a minute. I can see the steam, the condensation collecting on the bottom of that cover, so I know it's really close. Remember, if you're going to use larger spinach, then you're going to want to slice it a little bit, chop it up, and I'll put that in the recipe because, even though it's going to collapse, it'll still be long leaves, and then it makes it a little bit harder when you slice the pork later on. So just make sure you rough chop that up. But again, if you're using baby spinach and those leaves are kind of small, you don't have to worry about it. So let's take a look at that. Okay, you can see the condensation. Whew. There's the steam, the water that's evaporated. And now still got that nice green color in here. And remember, that big pile of spinach, only been in there less than a minute, and look, it's collapsed. It's down to nothing. You see all that? Okay, and there's a lot of juice in here, the soy sauce, the moisture from the mushrooms, the moisture from the spinach. Awesome. It's all going to be part of that stuffing. Okay, so now we're just going to put that over here, and we're going to put in our cream cheese. And I put 6 ounces in here. Usually it comes in an 8-ounce thing, so like 3/4 of one of those little blocks. And it's okay just to leave it, the way it comes off, because once it hits the heat, it's going to start melting. So add this all in. And I'm just going to use my tongs, or you could use a spoon, just stir it around. You'll see that cream cheese automatically starts to melt pretty much right away. Think of it when you put it on a bagel. You put a smear on there. It's kind of hard when it comes out of the refrigerator. As it sits on that warm bagel, it kind of, gets really creamy. That's what's happening in this sauce right now. Okay, I'm going to throw in my olives, capers, all gonna be strong, pungent flavors inside of our stuffing. You know, pork's pretty neutral flavor. It's kind of like chicken, you know, it doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own, but it's literally like a blank canvas. It absorbs flavors easily, so it can be manipulated into anything you want. This one we're going with those Greek flavors. There's olive oil, the garlic, okay? So we want to break down the cheese all the way, make it creamy, you know, get it all incorporated with the mushroom before we add the panko breadcrumbs, so then we don't get chunks of that cheese in there. So I'm going to show you this as I'm mixing it. We'll get you a close-up shot here. Okay, you can see that cheese is, you know, really melting away here, all incorporated. I think now we can add those panko breadcrumbs. Sprinkle those in. If you haven't had panko breadcrumbs, they're just a Japanese style breadcrumb. Again, they're a little coarser, a little crunchy. When I bread things, I like to use them because it gives it the, you know, fried shrimp, fried chicken finger, whatever, a really nice crunch, and it has a lot of surface area, so it picks up a lot of that nice golden brown color when you're deep frying. But mentioned, use any breadcrumb you have. All right, that's it. Now we're just gonna push this off to the side, just let it cool. We're gonna go on to the pork. So let me clean it up and I'll show you butterflying and pounding flat the pork. Okay, now we're ready to do our pork. As mentioned, our stuffing is off to the side, cooling down, so now we can work on our pork tenderloins. Pork tenderloins, as I mentioned at the beginning, come usually 2 to a package. So for $12, $13, you get 1, possibly 2 meals out of it. And pork is so versatile, and I have lots of recipes and I'll do more. And if you want to see specific recipes, leave it in the comments section or let me know. I'll be glad to demo any recipe that you want me to. Just let me know. So we have our oven. You might be able to hear it. I have a convection oven. It's on 450 degrees. We want to preheat that because high temperature, right, it's going to cook really quick. So this is like 20 minutes once we put it in the oven. Now you can do this in advance, stuff it, you know, tie it in some way, put it in the refrigerator. Then at dinner time, just pop it in for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, let it rest, make your side dishes, slice it, and you're ready to put dinner on the table for your family. Okay, so we have pork tenderloin here. Pork is very tender, tenderloin, hence its name. It's, you know, where filet mignon comes from if it was beef. And it's tender because it runs along the spine or the back of the animal. So it doesn't get a lot of work. You know, the animal's on all fours, so it doesn't get a workout like some of the other muscles, which make it a little bit more tough. Those other moving muscles, though, because they move, they get a lot more flavor. These don't have a lot of flavor. So you can add a lot of things to them, which is what we're doing in our stuffing. Now it does have like a little silver skin on the top, a little subcutaneous fat that we want to remove. So, you know, just get a nice sharp knife. You know, if you have a steel, go ahead and just, you know, get a little edge on it here. And if you're not sure which knives to purchase or how to do knife cuts or how to maintain a knife, I've made a couple of YouTube videos on that. So I will link that. I guess it's on this side, one of the sides, point both of them, up there, so where you can find these knife videos. Right? So, and I show you how to sharpen and get an edge. Okay, that's good. So the first part is just this fat on the surface, and we can just put our knife under it and just kind of pull it down. Now you don't have to do this, but why do you want this extra fat in your pork tenderloin? Don't be intimidated, very easy to do. Just lift up, take our knife, slide down it, pull it up. Okay, I'll see if I can get this in underneath here. And this is sometimes called silver skin, you know, and you can see it on here because it's kind of silvery here. So it can be kind of chewy and tough. You could leave it on there, it's fine, but it's easy to get off. Just get a knife, watch your fingers, trim around it, and you can get this silver skin right up. Okay, so we flatten it down, we stick our knife underneath it, go up along it, and then just cut backwards. Try to leave as much meat as you can, obviously, but you know, if you have to take a little bit off, you know, so be it. You're not really wasting too much there. Okay, along it, come down through. There we go. Let me get the fat off here. Great. Now I'll do it to the other one. Maybe that one I can get you in a little bit closer look on it. So this fat we're just going to throw away. It's nothing we want to do there. That one's all trimmed up. So now we can do this one. See if I can get you a little closer look. Okay, there we go, all cleaned up. So now what we're going to want to do is butterfly it. So we want to cut them in half and open it up like a book. We don't want to cut through it and have two pieces. We want to just cut a little way through it and then open it up. And then we're going to hit it with the hammer and some plastic wrap. So to go through this, I'll show you here. Take one of these, and we're just going to take our knife and go down through it about halfway. Don't cut all the way through. See here, just nice and gentle. And then we open it up. See how I'm opening that up? See? And there you go. So now I've taken the tenderloin and I've cut it in half to open it up like a book. So now we can pound it. So let me do that to the other one. Again, about halfway into the loin. Open it up like a book. And there we go. Okay, so we got our opened up butterflied pork tenderloins here. You can see them both. Great, move that knife out of the way. And now we want you to lay down some plastic wrap. Again, this isn't very difficult. Put down a sheet of plastic wrap, Glad wrap, whatever you have, cling wrap. Okay, and this plastic wrap is important because when you're hitting it, if it's just on a cutting board and with the mallet or the back of a pan, it's going to rip the meat. But this plastic allows it to spread. So now we put the cut side up, and now we're going to put another piece of plastic wrap on top. Okay, here we go, and put one on this side. Good. Now get yourself a mallet if you have one. Cheap, easy to get. We're not going to use this rough side over here. We're going to use the flat side. If you don't have one, I'll put a link down below in case you want to pick one up on Amazon. But if you don't have one, as mentioned in other videos, you could use a rolling pin or even a saucepan, a heavy bottom saucepan. You can use that to flatten them down. You don't have as much control with these as you do with a mallet, but you can work around and work on those fat sides. So I prefer that, but again, whatever you have. Okay, then we want to, as I'll put in the recipe, you want to hit this evenly. So down at the tail, it's already thin. Don't work down there. Go to the head, the top of the tenderloin, and spend more time up there. We want it to be even, about a ½ inch or less, kind of all the way through. So that way there, when we roll it, it comes out cylindrical, all right? And it'll cook evenly and look good when we put it to the table. Okay, that one looks good. Now I can go to this one. Okay, I think they look good. So we'll just save this plastic over here. I'm going to put one of them, I'll show it to you. See how even it looks now? It's all the same, thickness throughout. So it's a pork tenderloin that we butterflied and pounded. So I'll put that one over there. And then I can work with this one. All right, so we have the pork tenderloin. Now we can put our stuffing in it, which has cooled down. But first I like to put a little salt and pepper inside our pork tenderloin. I'll give it some seasoning. A little bit of that. Got some salt from my salt cave. Beautiful. Might as well do this one while I have it in my hand. Some pepper on that so I don't forget. Okay. So now we can put in our stuffing. So you can see it's here. It's all cooled down. See it nice and thick. That cheese has warmed up and made it creamy, and now it's starting to harden back up. So since I'm going to do 2 of these, I'm going to divide my stuffing in half so I don't have any leftovers. So kind of put it into a pile here, a little rubber spatula. Move this off to the side, scrape down my sides, get all those mushrooms that are trying to escape here into the middle. Okay, so now I'll just take that stuffing there, kind of put it all into a bunch. Just going to cut it in half or make a little mark to divide it in half. So this half will go onto this tenderloin. And then I'll save the other half for the other one. Okay, put that off there. So with the rubber spatula, we're just going to spread that evenly all over that pork tenderloin. You know, get all the way up to the edges so that way there, someone doesn't get gypped. You know, you don't want to be having your slice of pork tenderloin and get no filling. That wouldn't be very good. So we got that, move that around, move that. That look good, looks good just the way it is. But it's gonna get even better. Okay, so now you're gonna have two ways to hold this together, because if you don't, as it cooks, it's gonna open up and it's gonna unroll. We're gonna make this into a jelly roll. So we've got different ways to do this. One is to use some toothpicks. And I'll show you that one on this one. You got some toothpicks, and then right where the seam overlaps, we're just gonna kind of make like a little stitch in there to hold it. And we'll put in, you know, maybe 5, 6 of these down there. And then you just gotta make sure you pull them out before you serve them so your guest doesn't get jabbed. The other way is to use some string, or what they call butcher's twine. You don't want to just use any string because it's going to go in the oven. You want it to be food grade. Now, at my local grocery store, they sell this. It's about $3 or $4. You get a little bag of this twine, and you can buy that. Or, you know, if you go to a restaurant supply store, you can get a big, you know, ball of this and use it. But well, here's what I do. I just go to my butcher. You know, go to the back of the grocery store where the butcher's back there packaging up hamburgers and stuff like that. And you just say, hey, excuse me, do you have any butcher's twine I can get? I just need a little piece like that. You know, could you give me some of that? And usually, you know, you're a customer. What are they going to say? They're not going to say no. They say, sure. He goes back, cuts a little bit off his big amount. Look what he gave me. He gave me all this. You know, it's nothing. I think the whole roll is probably $5, $6. So, you know, this is nothing to them. But instead of buying that stuff in the package, which doesn't look like it's any good, I'll just grab this. And I'll show you two ways. You can tie it, you know, individually, little circles of that, or we're going to do it in one big piece. So, but let's do this one first. So now we're just going to roll it up. Now, if you leave it on the plastic is very helpful because now you can use the plastic, see how I'm doing it here, to kind of make your jelly roll, tucking it down, almost like making sushi. Okay, roll it in there, roll it around, come back on itself. And then use your hands to kind of, you know, from the fat part, squish it down to make it, you know, all an even cylinder. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to turn it back on itself here so you can see the seam. So it's seamed over itself. And now you can take these toothpicks, okay, and stick them through. Again, stick them through here, kind of, you know, doing like a little stitch in there. This will prevent it from opening up, and the toothpicks are, you know, food grade, so it's not going to, you know, bother anything. Looks like I'm going to need more. I'm going to need about 7. Okay, and then we put this one. Keep it tight too. Try to close that seam if you can. All right, dig down that one. Again, it's only up at the top. This one I can fold under a little bit and get that one. Oop, forgot the tail. So I'll fold that over, this one over, and then stick that through. So there, you can see this, I think. Okay, and then we have our pan over here, which we'll just put it right onto our baking pan. No plastic, obviously. So we're going to take this off, and I'm just going to slide it right on there. Slide the plastic off. Okay, got my little roasting pan here. Good to go. So now we'll put our next one up here. Right, now we got our last half of our stuffing. Put that on. Still smells great. And then this one, we'll just spread it out evenly. So I've already put the salt and pepper on it, on the meat itself. So now we just spread it down. And if you feel like putting other flavor profiles into this, do it. And I've seen this recipe a lot with sage, put some sage in here. It gives a little, Thanksgiving turkey stuffing kind of flavor. Thyme's another good one that put in here, but watch out, thyme's strong. We don't like that flavor, don't put it in there, but thyme, even some chopped rosemary. So, you can play around with this. And if you do, put it in the comments section. Let me know what you did, how you did it differently. I would think, maybe some sun-dried tomatoes chopped up would be really kind of cool in here too. Kind of goes with the theme, but whatever you want. All right, so we've got all that in there. So now we're just going to roll this one up too. Okay, take your plastic, roll it over, and then tuck it down with your fingers in here, that seam. Then roll a little bit more. Use that plastic to help you make that jelly roll. Again, if you ever made sushi, it's very similar to that, using your bamboo nori. All right, so see, I'm trying to get it the same size here. The tail obviously is going to be a little less, but this is the head. And then we just roll it over again, get our plastic out of there, and then seal it down. Okay, and then we can turn it over. Seam side up, put our plastic wrap there. There it goes. All right, so this one I'm going to use the twine. So got our twine here. All right, so then what you're going to want to do is go underneath it with the twine, pull it up, wrap it around it, go around like this. Okay, put the twine underneath it, go around near the top, put it through here, tighten it up, and then tie a little knot. And then you can take your scissors and just cut that. And then do it again. So you want to do is close up this seam, with the string all the way down through it. All right? Okay, so we have our string here. And you just take a little bit, go underneath it, pull it up on the other side, go around, tighten it up, not too tight, you don't want to squish out that stuffing, and then just put it into a knot, take your scissors, and keep doing that, a couple inches each way, all the way down through it. Or, how we teach our students, is you just go under it like this, come around, tie that first knot, okay? And then without cutting it, saves a little bit of time, you just take your hand like this, twist it, go underneath it, come up to this part, twist it again. This is like tying it in one piece. Okay, make it a little tighter. Okay, and then do the same thing underneath. Come up through, come down, into the middle, where we think it's about 2 inches, and then tighten it up. Okay, so either way, use your string, use your toothpicks, it's all gonna work. So let me finish this and we'll smear it with mustard. Okay, so now we're just gonna put this on our pan. We have this one with our toothpicks. And if any stuffing comes out, just prick your fingers and push those mushrooms back down in there. Sometimes when you tighten up too much with the string, it pops it out a little bit. That one looks great. Put it on there. I have to twist that one a little bit so it fits the pan. All right, now we want to put some salt and pepper on the outside. Okay, whoop. Okay, and then, as mentioned, we want to smear it with mustard. So I have some Dijon. I'm just going to use my fingers, but you could use a teaspoon on here if you want, but fingers I can get in there a little bit better. We're just going to rub it all over the outside, which will help brown it, will give it some color, give it some flavor, right? Dijon mustard. Now, if it's too thick for you, it came out of the fridge, you can put a little water, a little oil on it, and thins it out, makes it a little bit easier to spread if you need to, but I think it's fine the way it is. Again, any type of mustard that you want. Mustard and pork go great together. I always have mustard on ham. And make sure I use it all up here. In the recipe I put, it's about a tablespoon. So you got a half a tablespoon for each, so roughly. All right. Okay, so that's it. Now, as it says there, you already have your oven set at 450 degrees. We're gonna roast for 20, 25 minutes. When it comes out, if it's not brown enough, the last couple minutes, put it under the broiler just to get a little bit more brown. So let's get that in the oven, and then let's see what it looks like. Okay, the buzzer's going off here on our pork. 450 degrees, did it for 25 minutes. Timer just went off. Let's take a look in there. Whoa, doesn't that look great? Look at that. There's the one with the toothpicks and the one that's tied behind it. You see how brown it got with that mustard on there. Looks great, looks delicious. So let me put a thermometer in that, make sure it's ready, and if it is, we'll pull it out, we'll let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're gonna slice it. Okay, our pork is done. Cooked about 22 minutes, I think I cooked it for. And then I pulled it out. It's been resting a good 10 minutes now. So, it's really allowed everything to rest inside that stuffing. So when I cut it, it's not all gonna fall apart and steam. And, cream cheese is probably solidified a little bit. So that's really good. So now we can cut it, plate it up, and taste it. So let's do that. So I have my cutting board here. I'll put a wet towel under it just to secure it. And I've cooked up a little bit of carrots here, just a couple with salt and pepper and butter. So I'll put that on it. And then I made some couscous. Thought that would go great with it, but you could do rice pilaf or anything you want, mashed potatoes, whatever. So I have those. They're heating up nicely. Got my plate. So let's do, I don't know, we'll do this one since it's the closest. This is the one that we tied. All right, so we'll push that off to the side. So we can cut this twine off, or I could just use my scissors. So we'll put that on here. Cut that twine off there that we borrowed from our local butcher. But again, if you can do this a lot, just buy some. It's not that much. All right. So we've got all of this off here. We'll just pull this off gently so you don't rip it up too much. I'll put it in that pan. Put that one in there. I'm gonna do this one too. You can see the nice color that it got on the outside from the mustard. And if you want it a little darker, you could certainly put it on under the broiler. Get a little bit more, direct heat on the surface there. All right, that's enough. Okay, so I have this here. And now I'll cut that little one off the end there because nobody wants that piece. That's what they call the chef's piece. That's what we get to test. I'm just gonna take a little bit off there. Okay, and we'll do maybe 3 slices, 2 slices. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do 3. All right, so now put our plate over here. We'll get this steamed up couscous. Let's see, I'll just put a bunch in the middle here. You could take a little teacup or something, do a little mold, it might be kind of nice, but I'm just gonna put it here and it's gonna provide a little bit of a backdrop for our pork. So we'll put a piece there. We'll put a piece here. And we'll put a piece here. So I'm gonna see if I can show you this stuffing in here. I don't know if you can see that. That in there, isn't that like great? Put that on there on that slide. All right, now we'll put our carrots in. Okay, I'll just put those off to the side here. It's about enough for me. All right, let's turn our heat off. Okay, so now we're just going to clean up our rim here with our little towel. I might have gotten some stuffing when it fell off. So there, now here's a little tip, because what sauce do you want to put with this? Any kind of sauce you could use, but what I've taken is I have a little sour cream. I just put sour cream in here and a little tablespoon or so of, warm water, and then I just stirred it up just to make it so it's, pourable, so it's not thick. It's just sour cream. And then I put some dill weed in there. So if you got some fresh dill or even dried dill or anything you want in there just to give a little flavor and a little touch of salt and pepper in there for your sauce. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pork here in the front and I'm just going to drizzle a little bit on. Gives it a little color, a little bit more moisture. Yeah, give them a little more. Okay, and then I have a little bit of parsley, little pieces here. You can put that on, give it a little bit more green. Yeah, put more on there. There you go. That look great. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, that looks really good, doesn't it? So now we're gonna give it a good taste here. So, got my fork and knife here. With some stuffing, I want some of those mushrooms. That is so good. I don't even know if you need that sour cream sauce. I mean, it certainly adds some more moisture to it, but God, there's a lot of flavors with the olives in there and the capers. Excellent. There we go. Easy dish, done on the table. You know, half hour, 45 minutes. You can do this too. Please try it and then put your comments down below. Let me know, how did it work out for you? Did you change the recipe? Was it easy? Did you use the toothpick method or did you use the butcher's twine? Let me know. I'd love to hear from all of you. Okay, that's all the time we have for this episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the bell so you're notified when new videos are posted, which is pretty much once every 2 weeks or so. Okay, till next time, take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.